Before you keep listening, breathe for a second and be honest with yourself. There is someone on your mind right now, and no matter how hard you try to stay calm, their energy keeps returning to you in quiet moments, late nights, and the spaces between your daily routines. This is not random. It is not your imagination. And what you are about to hear may change the way you see that distance forever. Because the truth is not as simple as they do not care or they moved on. In fact, the real reason they stay far away may be the exact thing you never expected. Stay with me, because what comes next matters. If there is one person you cannot stop thinking about, one person whose silence still speaks to your heart, then this message is for you. And by the end, you may finally understand why love can feel so strong, yet still arrive wrapped in hesitation, fear, and space. Listen closely now. This is where everything starts to make sense. When a certain person keeps appearing in your thoughts again and again, not once in a while, not only when you feel lonely, but constantly, there is usually something deeper happening beneath the surface. People do not leave such a strong mark on the mind without reason. And if distance has grown between you, whether emotional distance, physical separation, or total silence, that distance may not mean what you think it means. The first truth is this: the person in your mind likely does care about you, and maybe more deeply than they ever knew how to show. Their feelings may not appear in loud ways, not through dramatic speeches, not through endless messages, not through perfect timing. Their care may exist in quiet forms, hidden forms, forms that are harder to notice unless you know where to look. They remember little things: your voice, the way you reacted to small moments, the comfort they felt around you, the strange peace or intensity your presence created in them. Those details do not stay inside a person unless something real was there. So if they cared, why the distance? Why the hesitation? Why the silence? That is where the deeper truth begins. Because sometimes love does not pull a person closer right away. Sometimes it makes them pause. Sometimes it makes them retreat. Sometimes it wakes up fears they were not ready to face. And that is the part most people never talk about. Deep emotion can do something surprising to a person. Instead of making them brave, it can make them feel exposed. Instead of making them move forward, it can make them step back and study every feeling with quiet worry. When someone truly starts to care, they do not only feel warmth, they also feel risk. They feel the possibility of loss. They feel the pressure of being seen. They feel their old wounds rising to the surface. Your presence may have touched not only their heart, but also their hidden fears, their past pain, their self-doubt, and the parts of them they usually keep protected from the world. This is why love can become overwhelming for people who are not fully healed inside. The stronger the connection feels, the more clearly they notice everything unstable within themselves. They may begin asking questions they cannot answer. Am I enough? Can I do this right? Will I hurt this person? What if I disappoint them? What if I lose control of my feelings? What if this becomes too important? Stay with this thought, because it explains so much. A person can care deeply and still pull away. A person can miss you and still remain silent. A person can think about you often and still choose distance because closeness feels too heavy for the version of themselves they are carrying right now. That is why space does not always mean lack of love. In many cases, space means inner conflict. It means a private storm. It means they are trying to hold together emotions that feel too large, too serious, or too life-changing to express easily. From the outside, silence looks empty, but inside them it may be full of thought, memory, fear, hope, and unfinished feeling. They may want to reach out and still stop themselves. They may want to come closer and still freeze. They may replay your conversations, remember your kindness, and feel the pull toward you, yet still decide that distance is safer than risking emotional exposure. This does not happen because you did something wrong. It happens because real connection can make a person feel vulnerable in ways they were not prepared for. And for some people, vulnerability feels dangerous even when the love is sincere. Listen carefully here, because this part matters. Their distance may be a shield, not a punishment, not a game, not always manipulation. A shield, a way to protect themselves from the very emotions they cannot fully control. They may fear hurting you. They may fear failing you. They may fear needing you too much. So they step back, not because nothing is there, but because too much is there, and they do not know how to carry it without breaking something. Sometimes strong affection feels like responsibility, and not everyone feels ready for that responsibility. The deeper their feelings grow, the more serious everything begins to feel. Suddenly, it is not just attraction, it is not just curiosity, it is not just a passing bond. It becomes something that could matter, something that could change them, something that could affect both lives in ways they cannot predict. That weight alone can make a person withdraw. They might tell themselves they need more time. They might believe you deserve someone steadier, stronger, more emotionally clear. They may compare your openness with their confusion and feel small beside it. They may admire your ability to love and then shrink back because they do not believe they can return it in the way you deserve. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. A person can step away because they think too highly of you while thinking too poorly of themselves. And because they do not know how to explain that, they say nothing. They leave you trying to read silence. They leave you wondering what changed. They leave you asking whether the bond was ever real. But their withdrawal may actually come from feeling too much, not too little. Keep listening, because the hidden fear behind this distance is even more important than the distance itself. One hidden fear is this. They know that if they come closer, they may fall deeper than they intended. And that loss of control frightens them. Some people are not afraid of love itself. They are afraid of what love will ask from them. They are afraid of becoming emotionally dependent. They are afraid of needing another person. They are afraid of exposing scars they have spent years hiding. They are afraid that if they open their heart fully, they may not know how to protect it afterward. So instead of walking into that intensity, they stand at the edge of it. They watch, they feel, they remember, but they do not move. This can look cold from the outside, yet inside it may be full of heat and panic. They may think about reaching out many times. They may imagine different conversations. They may picture what it would be like to be honest with you. But then another voice appears inside them, the voice of fear, the voice of caution, the voice shaped by old pain, and it tells them to stay back a little longer. If this is speaking to your situation, keep going with me, because the next layer explains why your mind also keeps returning to them. That repetition in your thoughts is not weakness, it is not foolishness, it is a sign that something unfinished still lives in you. Your mind does not keep circling back to meaningless people. It returns to what feels incomplete, emotionally charged, and unresolved. That is why this person stays present inside you. The bond did not close cleanly. There were words not spoken, feelings not fully shown, possibilities not explored, energy not completed. When a connection ends without clarity, the heart keeps searching for its missing pieces. The mind revisits moments, replays expressions, studies silence, and imagines different outcomes, because something in you still senses that the story never reached its full shape. This does not mean you are stuck because you are weak. It means the experience mattered. It left an imprint. Your deeper self felt something important there, and now it keeps returning to understand it. This is why late at night you may remember one sentence, one look, one moment of closeness, one strange pause that felt bigger than it should have. Unfinished emotion echoes. It repeats. It asks to be understood. And when the other person also pulled away without clear explanation, your mind keeps trying to solve what your heart already knows was real. Do not rush past that. It matters. Some of the strongest connections are not the loudest. They are the ones that leave behind quiet questions, soft pain, and a sense that something meaningful was interrupted before it had the chance to fully breathe. This is why silence can feel so loud. On the surface, nothing is happening. No messages, no clear movement, no simple answer. Yet underneath that silence, your whole inner world stays active. You think about what they meant. You think about what changed. You wonder whether they are thinking of you too. And very often, yes, they are. They may think of you during ordinary moments, while driving, while hearing a song, while passing a place that reminds them of you, while trying to focus on something else. Memory works in quiet ways, and deep emotion leaves traces everywhere. They may miss you without knowing how to say it. They may feel your absence in moments they cannot explain to anyone. They may remember how safe, seen, or alive they felt with you, and that memory can be both beautiful and painful for them. Beautiful because it was real, painful because it asks them to face feelings they still do not know how to manage. So they stay in the in-between, not fully gone, not fully present, just caught. And this is where many people misunderstand the situation. They assume distance means closure. It does not always mean that. Sometimes distance means delay. Sometimes it means unfinished healing. Sometimes it means two hearts felt something real, but one of them did not yet have the strength to hold it properly. Watch this closely, because understanding this can save you from blaming yourself for someone else's inner battle. You must stop turning their fear into proof that you are not enough. That is one of the deepest traps in a situation like this. When someone pulls away, the mind wants a reason, and the easiest reason is often self-blame. Maybe I was too much. Maybe I cared too deeply. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I should have waited. Maybe I should have asked for less. But real truth is often very different. Sometimes you were not too much. You were simply real. And what they felt with you was strong enough to shake parts of them that were never stable to begin with. That does not make you wrong. That does not make you difficult to love. It means you touched something deep. And deep things awaken deep reactions. Their silence may come from personal wounds around trust, closeness, commitment, rejection, or self-worth. Old pain changes the way people respond to new love. A caring presence can feel comforting to one person and terrifying to another, depending on what they still carry inside. So if they step back, it may be because your honesty, depth, and emotional openness confronted parts of them they had avoided for years. That is not your failure. That is their challenge. And this next part is important, so stay with me. Compassion is good, but compassion must not become an excuse for accepting endless confusion, mixed signals, or emotional absence that slowly drains your spirit. Yes, they may care. Yes, they may be afraid. Yes, they may be working through private battles, but none of that changes your worth. And none of it means you should live forever in waiting. This is where wisdom enters the story. You can understand their fear without sacrificing your peace. You can see the love hidden in distance without building your life around someone's hesitation. You can hold tenderness for their struggle and still honor your own need for clarity, consistency, and emotional safety. That balance is powerful. Because love is not only about feeling deeply, it is also about being able to show up, to stay, to communicate, to meet another person with enough steadiness that the connection can breathe in daylight, not only survive in imagination. If they cannot do that right now, then their feelings, no matter how sincere, are still incomplete in practice. This is not cruelty. This is reality. And sometimes reality is what sets the heart free. Keep listening, because this does not mean the bond had no meaning. It means meaning and readiness are not always the same thing. A connection can be true and still not be ready. A feeling can be genuine and still not become a relationship. That difference hurts, but understanding it brings peace. And peace is what you need if you want to stop drowning in the question of why they stayed away. There is also another truth many people avoid. Sometimes the distance exists because your presence started changing them, and change can feel threatening even when it is good. You may have made them reflect more deeply. You may have inspired them to face hidden emotions. You may have shown them a kind of care they were not used to receiving. You may have awakened parts of them that wanted more honesty, more healing, more maturity. And while that sounds beautiful, it can also feel deeply uncomfortable for someone who has built their life around emotional defense. Real connection asks for transformation. It asks old walls to soften. It asks buried pain to rise. It asks false control to loosen. Not everyone is ready for that. So they step back from the very person who made them feel most alive, because aliveness also means exposure. It means they can no longer pretend certain wounds are gone. Your presence may have acted like a mirror, and what they saw in that mirror required more courage than they had at the time. So the distance became a pause, a holding pattern, a place where they tried to recover control. That does not erase their feelings. It shows how powerful those feelings became. And if this part hits home, do not miss the next truth, because it may be the one that changes how you carry this story from now on. You are not meant to force closure out of a heart that is still at war with itself. Pressure rarely heals this kind of distance. Demanding answers from someone who is terrified of their own emotions often pushes them deeper into silence. That does not mean you should accept confusion forever. It means you should understand what can and cannot be controlled. You cannot heal for them. You cannot decide their readiness. You cannot love them into courage if they are still committed to fear. What you can do is see clearly. You can recognize the bond without idealizing it. You can admit that their care may be real while also admitting that real care without action still leaves pain behind. You can stop chasing signs and start protecting your own heart. This is not giving up on love. It is giving up on self-abandonment. And many people need to hear that. Because when a connection feels rare, We often mistake emotional intensity for destiny, but intensity is not always alignment. Longing is not always compatibility, and silence is not always a secret promise of return. Sometimes silence is simply where a person hides while they struggle with what they feel. If they return someday, let it be with clarity, effort, and real presence. Not fragments, not half-truths, not emotional crumbs dressed as devotion. You deserve something that can stand in the open. Still, none of this means the experience was wasted. In fact, these kinds of bonds often teach the deepest lessons. They teach you patience. They teach you to separate your value from another person's readiness. They teach you that love can be real and still not be sustainable in its current form. They teach you to notice the difference between connection and consistency, between affection and emotional availability, between being felt and being fully chosen. These are not small lessons. They shape your future. They protect your future heart. They help you love with more wisdom next time, not less depth. And perhaps that is part of why this person entered your life, not only to awaken longing, but also to reveal your strength, your standards, your emotional truth, and your capacity to hold love without losing yourself inside it. Stay with this for a moment. Even your pain has been teaching you. Even your questions have been shaping you. Every time you sat with the silence and still kept your heart open, you were learning something about your own resilience. Every time you resisted the urge to shrink your needs just to keep someone near, you were growing. That matters. It matters more than you think. Because the goal is not just to be loved, the goal is to be loved well. And maybe that is the real turning point here. The connection may have been meaningful, their feelings may have been sincere, their silence may have hidden fear rather than indifference. All of that can be true. But another truth can also stand beside it. You deserve love that does not need distance to survive. You deserve care that can speak. You deserve closeness that does not disappear every time emotion becomes serious. You deserve someone who can meet your heart with strength, not just secret feeling. This does not erase the tenderness of what happened. It does not deny the bond. It simply places your well-being back where it belongs, at the center of your own life. And if they are meant to return, they will return differently, more honest, more healed, more ready, not just drawn back by feeling, but guided forward by courage. Until then, let the space show you what it was always meant to show, that love without readiness creates confusion, that affection without healing creates distance, that being deeply felt is beautiful, but being clearly chosen is peace. If this is reaching you, keep listening to the end, because the final truth is the one your heart may need most tonight. The final truth is simple, even if it hurts. Someone can feel strong love for you and still not be prepared to stay close. Someone can miss you, think of you, and carry real tenderness for you, yet still remain trapped inside their own fear, their own wounds, their own unfinished healing. That reality does not reduce your worth. It does not erase the beauty of what existed, and it does not mean you imagined the connection. It only means that love alone is not always enough when a person has not yet built the inner stability needed to hold it. So stop blaming yourself for another person's silence. Stop shrinking your needs so their fear can stay comfortable. Stop calling yourself hard to love just because someone unready could not step forward. The bond may have been real, the distance may have had meaning, but your future does not have to remain tied to what another person was too afraid to become. Let this experience deepen you, not define you. Let it sharpen your vision, not weaken your hope. Let it remind you that your heart is not asking for too much when it asks for honesty, consistency, warmth, and presence. The right love will not need endless guessing. It will not hide forever behind hesitation. It will not make you carry the whole weight alone. And until that love arrives, honor what you felt, learn what it taught, and keep moving with your dignity intact, your heart open, and your value fully remembered.